Okay, so this panel is all about what is success. And basically, so let's start with Ifey.
Hi, my name is Ifey Njoku. I have been at Sky, as you mentioned, for 21 years. I guess what I'd like to leave behind is just making sure that, you know, for me, it's about the upcoming generation just persevering and despite the challenges you may find, keep going if it's what you love doing. Don't be put off because you will get that resistance. Expect it almost, but yeah, keep going because I mean, I can speak for myself. I've kept going and I enjoy what I do every day, so yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julius Popoola. I actually did mistakenly introduce myself once as Popoola, and I got told off, and since then I've learned. I'm a software engineer at Sky. One thing I would like to say is, one thing that is critical, which many of our speakers have been talking about, is know who you are. You have to know who you are. Because once you know who you are, nobody can take that away from you. I have an icon in our Slack channel. The first time I used that icon, people thought it was weird. I'm a philosopher. That's who I am. And that's what my icon represents. And over the years, that has now become true. And people have been able to accept me for that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tony Lester. I've been at Sky 6 years. I've had a very checkered career. I was in the Army for 13 years as a company sergeant major in the Airborne Forces. So I was quite proud of that moment, but it's the first time in my whole life I've been in a room full of black people. And it's humbling because, you know, everywhere you go, you see the odd black face here and there, and it's populated by white people. But this is great because it kind of makes you realize that there's a world out there that people are trying to thrive to get along in life. And my job at Sky is inspiring young people, because my background, apart from the military, I was an Olympics coach for Great Britain for 4 Olympic Games. I coached a lot of sprinters. You might know some of those guys like Marlon Devonish, Roger Black. I was a coach for all of these guys. And that gave me the inspiration to dare to do something different, and young people are not investing heavily as they should be. You know, we talk about next generation, but we don't do enough about it. And my chance at Sky now is to do something about that, along with Nishy, and so that's my journey so far. We'll talk a bit more, obviously, as we talk, so Nishy, over to you.
Hi, it's wonderful to see a room full of so many people that, you know, are inspired and, you know, feeling inspired as well. Your eyes, the way you are, your body language, I can see that you really are ready to make a change. So, like Ifey, I've been at Sky for 21 years. I've had an incredible journey at Sky. I started at a very junior place. I work along Tony. My job is a privilege to be able to share my journey, to be able to make an impact on young people in a positive way. So what do I really want? I want us to tell a better story to the next generation. My own experiences from my parents who came in as immigrants from East Africa, their journey, and the things that kind of their perceptions left with me and kind of almost created challenges for me in my career, I began to realize why and how. I need to tell a better story to the next generation, and I have a responsibility, as everybody else does in this room.
Amazing. So since we're on the topic of inspiring young people, I'd like to know, why is it important? This conversation is all about what is success. So as I said, everybody on this panel is successful and everybody in the room is successful, but why is it important to inspire the next generation? Nishy, you can start.
Well, you are the future. How do we create a better, balanced future, a successful, you know, a much more kind of universal, fair place? And that is about building skills. It's important that people have the right skills, opportunities. It's making them feel inspired to do the right thing. Without those basic things of having those abilities and helping young people to unlock that in them, You can't expect them to, you know, for the economy to be what it is today, to have the outlooks of life and the achievements and the values that we want to have in the world. It starts with inspiring young people to do the right thing, and it has to start early, and that's why it's important.
I think to add to that, I mean, you know, we talk about the future, and invariably we look at it through short lenses. We've got to think long term, because I came from Jamaica when I was 8 years old. You know, I came to England in a tough time as a young black kid growing up in East London. But the ambition never died. And I think what we need to understand, make sure our young children are ambitious and they're dare to dream. Because it's okay saying you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a millionaire, you want to be a football player. That's all great. But also, they need to be real about what they expect out of life. And for me, the important thing is to make sure our kids have an education, because it's too busy trying to chase the fast money. And that's not real money. It's very short term. I think if your kids look at career options and how they can actually become better human beings in society and add value. And, you know, whether my background is sports, so I know how that impacts. But it's a short-term win, because by the time you're 35, your career's finished, okay? And then thereafter, we then have to look at real life for another 70 years in some cases, because people now are living longer. So how can we invest in our kids to make an impact on society? And it's not just about black kids, it's about every child. Yeah, because we can't see and segregate black or white kids. Kids are kids. Yeah, and when I look at my program, the scholarship program, we invest in every person that comes in that room, okay, who tells that story about what their ambitions are. So for me, the takeaway is, have the ambition to believe in yourself, to take to the next level, and then tell that story, because that story will inspire a generation.
Amazing. Julius?
For me, I think it's important to inspire the next generation, because where you get to in life, the two very important factors that I think we need to take note of, is where you're starting from and your mindset. And most of us are starting from the point of a disadvantage, which means the only thing that we can work on is the mindset. And the only way to improve that mindset is by being inspired. So I'm really enjoying what we're doing here today, and I'm hoping that people will leave here with a change of mindset, knowing that the sky is not the ceiling. You can go into space.
Yes, I agree with what everyone said so far. It's really important to inspire the next generation, because we need to at least leave a feeling of hope. I mean, you put so much work and effort into being the best that you can, and we should also make sure that being the best that you can give you that ability to do better and be better people, and actually in your careers as well, leave an impact. So yeah, we need to carry on with this hard work that you're doing all around and carry on inspiring the next generation.
Amazing. So, but as part of success, people have to be humble. We see it a lot maybe in the community, that people get a bit of success or, get a bit of accolades, and suddenly it's gone to their heads and they stop doing what they need to do in terms of progressing or aiming even higher. What can you talk about a bit about your journey and what advice you can give to other people about staying humble?
Okay, I'll go first. I think humility is such a powerful tool that people really underestimate it. I mean, I look at when I was in the army, for example, my career was very good. I mean, I became a company sergeant major at age 27. In the military, that's quite young, because normally you're looking at a guy who's going to be middle-30s, and just airborne forces is like one down from special forces. And so I was very privileged to know the fact I was a young company sergeant major, and I had a swagger because I was the only black guy who wore a red beret and wore wings, and so you feel like you're the man. But in reality, I looked around, I didn't see any other person like me, so therefore my swag was full on. But the thing is, okay, the humility part of that, it makes you think, other people want to be like me, I should share my journey with these people. Tell people about your success, okay, how you got there, how you did it. Because humility is something that people don't invest enough in. Because when you're at work, you've got a big job title, you've got a big salary, you've got a fancy car, that can all, as the guy said, that can all be gone in a moment. And that humbles you to the point of devastation, okay? I've lost jobs in the past, okay? Some people in here have never been fired, but you lose a job, it humbles you. But what it does, it makes you have perspective. And I think humility is one thing that people need to realize, in that, all around me, people are hurting, people are suffering. Therefore, why should I add to that suffering? Let's try to embrace our colleagues, make them know that there's an arm out there that you can put around these people, okay? That's humility. I don't think we should, play it down for what it is. It's a very powerful thing that we need to know that people hurt here, they hurt there, okay? And what we need to do is minimize that hurt for them, okay, by being humble and being respectful of each other.
So just on being humble, it's an interpretation of what we believe being humble is. So my view about being humble is being aware, self-aware, about your presence, about your impact, and how you make others feel. So whilst, yes, you might feel humbled by a situation, but you are not the situation, you are an individual. Your humbleness should come about from how you make others feel and what you do for them. That will help you navigate your way through challenges, failures, your successes. And I think when you keep that centered and you remain unwavered to what you want to achieve, no matter what comes in your way, when you need to be humble, there's a time that we all need to be humble. There's a time when we need to raise above that and actually say, you're not, when people try to make you feel humble, when actually you don't need to be humbled. Because there's a perception of people with color that humbleness means subservient. It's not that. It's about your self-awareness and being and having your own kind of sense of success and failures. Failure is an idea that you guys, we all as individuals have created for ourselves by people telling us things that, our families tell us, perceptions, and those things rule you from within. My mum, she came in the 60s from East Africa. She was training as a nurse. She went to Scotland. Can you imagine in the early 60s, Asian woman going to Inverness in Scotland to do midwifery? Brave. She followed her career as a nurse, and she worked in A&E. She did great. She decided she wanted to become a sister. She did that. She retired as a sister from intensive care, successful career. But my mum would always tell me that, our people won't ever get very far because, there's always that other person that's going to be in front of you, always going to start. I just accepted that. So recently I had a conversation with a very senior woman at Sky who sort of said to me, why did you never think about why there's no senior women of colour at Sky when you first arrived? And I said, well, I don't know. And I said, I never really thought about it because I'd learned that was what it was. My mum was humbled into believing that was what it was for us. But actually, no, when I go back to my point about telling a better story, I need to change that story. I need to tell a better story. What my mum failed to do, bless her, she was brave. She achieved, she broke barriers. She's an incredible woman. She's a strong woman. That's the story she needed to tell me. And I think that's when you remain humble, you stay strong. It's about your self-awareness. And that's what it's truly about.
I think the one thing I'd say to add to that, being humble actually also opens up opportunities for you, because when you are humble, you are more approachable. So don't look at it as a weakness. Obviously, being humble means that, you've got humility, and I found that mindset and that attitude actually opens up opportunities for you. So that's the only thing I'd want to add to that.
I'm a person that I've actually learned how to be humble. Because when I started my career, I had an opportunity to get a job where I was like the best guy in the room. And I had a chip on my shoulder. And being the only black guy in the room gave me a double chip on my shoulder. But I left that company. I went into a year of depression because I made the greatest achievement I could have done in my career, but wasn't able to celebrate it. Why? Because humility was missing. It took me a year of personal reflection to understand the importance of humility. You see, the challenge with us is that sometimes we have a negative view of humility, But humility is actually a beautiful thing. If you're humble, you are approachable. If you're humble, you are able to learn from others. If you're humble, you don't look down on other people. So you create the right atmosphere. So humility is actually a beautiful thing that we need to embrace. And to round that up, if you look at most spiritual, and I believe as black people, we cannot avoid knowing that we are a spiritual being. Most of us here, I believe, have a very high level of spiritual awareness. And when you look at all the spiritual, no matter where you are in the spiritual doctrine or training or books that you're reading, humility is always very stressed because it is critical. So I think if there's something that we should take away from here is knowing who you are and being humble with that. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. So I had a really cool debate the other day about representation matters versus trailblazing. So I'm very much I believe representation is important. We don't see enough black senior leaders. There's a problem. We need to, get them in the room. We need to see each other so that we can now progress to high heights. However, the person I was debating with said, well, why is that something that we feel like we need? Why can't we be the trailblazers? Why can't we be the one to, get there? Why must we have to see somebody else there? I'd love to get your views on that debate and kind of, what you'd say to the audience about which one is the right one or if they're both right. Anyone?
Okay, I'll go first again. I think that question is quite unique because the fact is, trailblazing is not a crime. I think personally, being a pioneer is not a crime. There has to be a first to everything, okay? And if you're the first person to do something, okay, it opens a door for other people to have that thought to think, I'll have a go too. And so I think, that debate is null and void. It depends on your personality type, what sort of person you're going to be. Are you a follower? Are you a leader? If you follow me through the door, that means you're being brave. Because, I'll go first, and I'll take the hit, but you know something? Other people are going to come behind me. And as they come through each progression, there's going to be more learning, because the mistakes I made, the people behind me won't make the same mistakes. So I don't think trailblazing is a crime. I really don't. And I think, following people through the door with an ambition to think, okay, next time I'll try and do better. I'll give you an example. I worked for UK Athletics for 16 years. Okay, I went to 4 Olympic Games. And all the guys said, Tony's going to be the next head coach of Great Britain, because the CB said it all. I had all the medals with all the athletes. But you know something? Like Nishy said, I made myself a victim because I saw, because I'm black, I won't get that job, because that job is full of white people sitting blazers behind boardroom doors, and I won't get that job. So therefore, I put myself down and didn't fight for it, because the fight was kicked out of me, because I was the good servant to serve the sport really well, and my guys and girls got medals, but you know what? As I said to people, the athletes get the plaudits, the coaches get nothing. And when the time comes to being the head coach, I didn't have the bottle to go for it, because I knew that already it's a fight I'd lost. Fast forward now, 10 years, we now have a black woman in charge of British athletics, the CEO, Zara Hyde-Peters. I mean, call it tokenism, call it what you will, it doesn't matter. We have somebody in the room now who can now make a representation of being a leader, who can open the doors for others to follow and dare to dream. So I think really, Kike, there is no wrong answer.
It's important for you to understand how you trailblaze from within, first of all. Because what is trailblazing, first of all? I mean, it's going to mean something different to everybody. Trailblazing, what's success? Somebody who hasn't got any money and then goes and wins a beggar and then goes into Starbucks and can buy themselves, Americano on that day, a panini, and actually, you know what? Today they trailblaze. They all managed to do whatever they had to do and achieve something today. So what does trailblazing actually really mean for you? That's the first thing you need to find out. Often enough, in my experience, people have said to me, oh, you trailblazed through that. And I'm like, did I? I just worked really hard. That's all I did. I was working really hard. I just knew I knew what I needed to do, and I just got on with it. I left home at 18 with less than £100. I decided to get married one day. I told my parents I was going to college. I went and got married. That's another story. 29 years, we're still together. So, we have 2 beautiful children. And, you know, was I trailblazing, making myself like I can be this person? I was one of 5. I was the youngest. I was probably like, you know, another little girl. Especially with our Asian communities, having girls is probably a bit, oh God, big dowries and et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of took care of myself. So there I was, starting my career, and I was kind of still studying, still fashion. I went to the London College of Fashion. I did fashion business. That's what I wanted to do. But then I was in a place of where actually, you know, Indian people don't do fashion. You don't get to go to work in a couture. You don't do Topshop. You don't get to work in the fashion houses and all the rest. So that kind of got cut short a bit. I didn't trailblaze, but then through that career, but I mean, what I did was persevere. I bought my house at 21. I managed to make those achievements, whilst those are material achievements, but what I was doing, I was looking ahead. I was walking towards something all the time. Trailblazing is exactly that. You are walking and heading towards something. Sometimes you're going to take the same people with you, and sometimes you're going to leave some people behind. But that's okay, because it's your path. You're trailblazing that. You have to remember that it's yours. Don't trailblaze to take other people with you. It doesn't work. Trailblazing isn't always about that. Yes, as Tony said, they might follow you through the door, but actually, you know what? They're trailblazing for themselves too. And that's okay, because if you want to take the lead on that, but somewhere your paths are going to separate, which is fine. So, you know, I continued. I came to Sky very young, and I persevered. You know, I did everything I needed to. I was a perfume girl in Selfridges. I stood in shopping centres and sold Pepsi Max when it first came out. I did all sorts of things because basically I had a journey I was going on. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to achieve. But I wanted to achieve for myself, for my family, and I wanted to do the right thing, and I wanted to show that I can become someone. And I think, you know, like, it's not about titles as sort of Mike, you know, and salaries, and we spoke about earlier. It is about what is important to you. And your trailblazing will never end. Believe me, you'll get to a point and you'll say, well, I want to go, and I want to go further, I want to go, and you know, yes, space, you know, the galaxies, everything. So they're all to be trailblazed. So when you get there, don't stop. Just keep going, because you just never know. And, you know, like, something that doesn't have a limit is a good thing. So something that is endless is a good thing, because, hell, you just don't know what you're going to discover. So keep going.
Trailblazing and winning, I think.
Yeah, I can relate to your story, just to share a bit of mine. I had my daughter, she's 25 now, 25 years ago when I was still at university, and I'm from a Nigerian Igbo family. This is not heard of. You just don't, and I wasn't married at the time to my husband, you just don't go through that experience, and you know, it was a big thing at the time. But obviously I had a strong desire to carry on, so I did finish my engineering degree, despite all the family talk that happened at the time, and I just carried on. I got my first job at the BBC, and then from there with NTL, who are now Akiva, and then Sky. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, being a trailblazer, I'd studied engineering, and at the time I was the only girl at uni. Then I went to City University of a class of, I think there was 50 of us. I didn't find it odd before that time, because I went to a convent girls' school, so I was amongst women at the time, and so to do an engineering degree wasn't something that I felt intimidated by. But I guess the trailblazing element is, you know, persevere. You mentioned it. Just if you've got that dream, prove people wrong. I mean, now I've proven the aunties that kind of cut me off. Yeah, don't hang around with that one, you know. It's like, okay, you know, so, you know, just keep going. Don't be fearful of being a trailblazer, because it will inspire other people coming behind you. So, yeah, that's my end.
I want to look at this trailblazing differently, if you don't mind. The angle I'm looking at it from is opportunities. Because there are opportunities that are right now available to you. Don't sleep on it. Don't leave it till tomorrow. Don't wait for other people to help you get there. These opportunities are things that have come your way because, more importantly, like I'll go back to, is because of who you are. There are some things you see that nobody else does. There are some things that you are able to see and connect up that nobody else will ever will. Now, those opportunities are platforms for you to trailblaze. So if that is what you're doing and you're staying true to yourself, then I think you should trailblaze. Thank you.
Okay, that was incredible. We can open up the floor for some questions. So if you do have a question, please stand up, say your name, and what you do as well before you say your question. Over there in the front.
Question is, right, when you're setting up a social enterprise designed to deliver transformational change, and when you're interested in supporting people from, say, working class backgrounds, okay, is it a good strategy to kind of focus on, say, Black people, or is it better to kind of cast your net wider and focus on the community at large rather than focusing on a particular subset of the community with whom you have a relationship? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah,
clear?
I'll take that. Firstly, I'm just going to share quickly, we're up against time here, quickly, so I'll just share my quick journey with you. So up until the age of 12, I went to a private school, an all-girls, white convent private school, was taught by nuns. My parents thought it was a great idea. They thought they wanted to become affluent Asian people in the UK, so they sent me to this private school. I speak 2 languages. My parents, so the nuns decided to send me, so at the age of 6, 7, I would have had a bit of an accent. I probably still do, as most Asian people, British Asians do. They sent me to elocution class to eradicate it. So that was an issue. So I've been in a private environment and I know what it's like to feel not part of it. And you were taught by nuns, you went to chapel, you went to mass, it wasn't even my religion, but the school, we was a fee-paying school, you're 3%, you had to do that. Then at 12, my parents took me out and they put me to inner state school where everybody looked like me. And I didn't fit in because I was a well-spoken, private school educated girl. So I was then marginalized and minoritized in that way. So, but what I saw, so to your point, is everybody needs help, no matter where you come from. You have excelled when you can put your arm around everybody, no matter what their color, background, opportunity, what they have. And yes, it's easy for corporate companies to put our arms around the ones that are nearly halfway there. So your kids at the private school who are slightly more privileged than others. But going back to inspiration and skills, do they not need to feel inspired? Do they not have their own challenges? Yes, kids that have lack of opportunities not because of their making, because of decisions that their parents have taken or society has put upon them. Yes, you need to put your arm around them. You need to do more for them. You need to open those doors for them, or at least show them the window. So yes, I do think that there is a responsibility to every young person. So I don't do my job just to make a difference to people from more deprived areas. I do my job because I want to make an impact on young people per se.